Random House Audio presents Sex and the Seasoned Woman, Pursuing the Passionate Life by Gail Sheehy. Read for you by the author. The idea for this book came to me in a dreamful state the morning my husband and I awoke on a mountaintop in Italy. It was a few days after I had put to bed a wrenching book about the families of 9/11, but already we were transported by the sensuous landscape of Italy's heartland, Umbria. "I know what my next book has to be about," I murmured. "Sex and the Seasoned Woman." "What's a seasoned woman?" my husband asked. "You're lying next to one." Like any aha moment, it seemed obvious once I began thinking about it. Sex and older women used to be considered an oxymoron, rarely mentioned in the same breath. As late as 1996, the largest national sex survey since the Kinsey Report did not bother interviewing people over the age of 59. It was assumed that a woman's sexual pilot light was extinguished by menopause, and she was content to slip into the desexualized role of on-call grandma and caretaker for whatever members of the family got old and sick first, or whined the loudest. Most women are still socialized not to expect much after 45 or 50, except dulling hair, brittling bones, shriveling sex organs, and a social life centered around playing a little poker with the girls and maybe celebrating a birthday by tucking a dollar bill into the jockstrap of a male exotic dancer. Do people really think we all trade the delights of touching and being touched for some hobby utilizing yarn? Is there some inhibition ingrained in Americans that prevents us from imagining our parents, or, God forbid, our grandparents, between the sheets but not asleep? Before starting the research for this book, I, like many married women, had no concept of what the single scene was like these days for women in midlife and beyond. The more I explored the concept of a seasoned woman, the more convinced I was that we are becoming freer of rigid age norms. At last, older women are shedding some of the stigma attached to age, and younger men, socialized in a post-feminist era, are more likely to appreciate a mature woman's independent spirit. Just how old is a seasoned woman? I define it very much the way Auntie Mame's friend Vera did. Somewhere between 45 and death. It's not over at 45, it being sex, intimacy, discovery of a new identity, and a new passion in life. On the contrary, it begins all over again. Today, 50 is the start of a whole new cycle. You may have already lived an entire adulthood, but now you are at the beginning of another one. A portion of the lifespan that I identified in 1995 as our second adulthood. Given the prolonged American post-adolescence, the first adulthood today runs roughly from the age of 30 to 50. The years from 50 to 80 or 90 represent an even longer span. What to do with all the time left? People who try to hang on for dear life to what they had in their first adulthood, the same dewy looks, the same high-energy job, the same steamy sex, may become their own worst enemies. A positive anticipation of our second adulthood allows for much less anxiety and greater flexibility. A great many women are finding middle sex more enjoyable than married life ever was in their 30s and 40s, when juggling jobs, motherhood, and what's for dinner guilt made for mostly exhausted sex. Some are single, some remain married or have remarried, but now, freed from the long emergency of young motherhood, they're finding out how delightful it can be when it's about only you and him again. Today's women in their mid-40s, 50s, and 60s are at the peak of their lives. They consistently tell me and other researchers that they are happier and more productive than they have ever been before. Why? For one thing, women have a universal marker event to wake us up to the need to re-examine and revamp our lives: menopause. This natural milestone in the life cycle gives women a chance, even an excuse, to regather our forces and our energy, to seize the day and to say, this is the time to change. On our day trips around Umbria to the lofty hill towns of Italy, my husband and I always found a terrace restaurant where we could sip a cool drink, hold hands, and lose ourselves in the magic of the moment. Inevitably, I noticed there were other vacationing couples of middling age indulging in the same sweet pastime. I had a hunch that there was a lot more excitement and experimentation going on among women and men over 45 than our youth-obsessed society was aware of, or ready to admit. It was clearly time to extend my ongoing exploration of adult life stages. What is a seasoned woman anyway? She's spicy. She's been marinated in life experience. Like a complex wine, a seasoned woman has many flavors. She can be alternately sweet, tart, effervescent, assured, alluring, resourceful, maternal, and playful. She is less likely to have an agenda than a young woman, no biological clock tick-tocking beside her lover's bed, no campaign to lead him to the altar, no rescue fantasies that could ensnare him in a thicket of her immature needs. The seasoned woman knows who she is. She could be any one of us, as long as she is committed to living fully and passionately in the second half of life.